All right, so welcome to the first episode of Done This Week. It's actually a pseudo first episode. We've had two failed episodes prior. We had this like hacked setup in our office, but we've got it all sorted now. Have a team behind it, so we're ready to start pumping this out. Done This Week is our podcast. So me and Steven, we've known each other for probably like 2.5 years now, and we would always kind of text each other at the end of the week and be like, "Hey, what'd you do this week?" Give little updates on what worked for us, new things that we were trying, new things that we bought. And so we decided to kind of wrap this all into a podcast, mainly focused on, business, lifestyle, and kind of just like making the internet work for us in new and interesting ways. So, to kick it off, I think it'd be good to start with some introductions. So give your like elevator pitch on like why are you sitting here and what do you do with your time, and then we'll get into it.
Sweet. Yeah. So I'm Steven. I own a software company called Wizza. I started the company about 4 years ago. Kind of lifelong entrepreneur. So I started making businesses when I was like 13, 14, selling different things that I'd import from China, sell at school and sell in like summer camps. So I always had like a general interest in entrepreneurship. Eventually went to school, didn't really like it or enjoy it at all. So I wanted to create something on my own. First started with a sock subscription company. Didn't go that great. So I finished and kind of went the traditional job route. So I started in a sales job at a conference company and was doing a lot of like cold calling, cold emailing, learned a ton about sales and grew a lot there. And had an idea for my first ever software company, which was called Torch. Didn't know what I was doing at all with that. Kept, dropping the price and kind of the classic, software company mistakes that you make when you first start something. So that failed, went back to the job again, and had the idea for Wizza, which is a tool that lets you basically export searches from LinkedIn and find contact information really quickly and really accurately. So I had that idea, left, created that company, and we've pretty much just been growing it ever since. So we're around 15 people now, almost, bootstrapped company. And yeah, just personally, just very interested in entrepreneurship, business, kind of the same things that brought us together as friends.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm Zach. I have a software company called Foreplay. I started around 2 years ago. Prior to that, I kind of had a whole life as, just an agency creative type. I had a bunch of different agencies from like web development to motion design. What first got me into like software and things like that, I started taking on software development projects as like a freelance thing. I was mainly focusing on the product development and product design though, not the development. And then I had a degenerate dropshipping phase where I was just like slinging products online back in like the golden days of Facebook when you could put $1 in and take $2 out. Ended up scaling a business called Nomadic Fabrics really, really fast. It crashed just as fast as well. We fire sold that in like 2021, almost like right around when I had met you. And then through my agency, started doing some work for you guys from like the motion design front and stuff like that. And then I started Foreplay. And so, yeah, Foreplay is a, creative strategy software that allows you to track your competitors, build mood boards of different ad creative inspirations, and kind of operationalize your Facebook and Meta ad creative process. And so also bootstrapped, around like 6 people now, and yeah, having like the most fun I ever had building a business.
So the obvious question people are probably thinking, why'd you call it Foreplay?
Okay, so Foreplay actually wasn't always software. It started as an agency. And so the business that I built, the dropshipping business called Nomadic Fabrics, where we're selling like bohemian home decor and things like that. I built that with a partner, and through scaling up that business, we had like a lot of people being like, "Hey, can you run Facebook ads for us?" And so we started this agency, and I got like more excited about the agency than I ever did about the e-commerce stuff, because I was like, "Okay, it's agency work again. It feels like feels close to me. We can do some like creative commercials and things like that." And so I really was like trying to name the business as something that I felt like could grow into a large company. And I was just coming off the back of reading Richard Branson's book, Losing My Virginity. And he had talked about naming Virgin Mobile and how it was like provocative. And a lot of people said that he shouldn't do it. And they gave all these reasons why he shouldn't do it. But all those reasons actually became the reason why he should have named it Virgin and did name it Virgin, and kind of had the complete opposite effect of what everyone around him was telling him. And so it was like, I was sitting around a table with my old business partner and then another friend, and we were just like thinking like very high level, like what is advertising? And we were just like throwing out names. I wanted it to be a one word name, and I was like, oh well, advertising and marketing is kind of just foreplay with the consumer. It's like you're kind of getting to know them, they're getting to know you, and you're gauging like temperature on like certain offers and things like that. And so like, hey, that's a really cool name. It's provocative. It fits into the general thesis of what I wanted to name the business. And then that was an agency. We're doing a lot of motion design work, a lot of commercial work, mainly for software companies and things like that. And then once I decided to separate from that partner, wanted to build software, I was like, whatever idea I have that has like the most traction in the idea phase was going to inherit the name Foreplay. And I knew it was going to be an advertising software. So that's how it came to be. And when we rebranded, I thought it was going to be, I like, it was a terrifying thing. Like I was so pumped about it. I was like, this is going to be so cool. The original tool name was Addison, which was kind of like the pet name as we were getting it out of the idea stage. And once it kind of crossed, I had like 3 different software ideas that I was playing with. This one had the most traction. And so when I flipped the name from Addison to Foreplay, I thought it was the most amazing thing ever. We like relaunching the website, relaunching UI. And then like instantly everyone on Twitter was just like, you're a piece of shit. You suck. And I thought the world was going to end. But most of the time, people that are criticizing, it's like a loud few people. And there's a lot of people that also love it. And it's definitely memorable. So I'm happy about it.
Has it bit you in the ass?
Definitely hasn't. No, I think it's been the complete opposite. It's stroked me nicely. How'd you name Wizza?
So I kind of initially had the idea to call it Wizard because it just felt magical. I kind of like the magic brand, and then kind of realized if I name it Wizard, no one's going to be able to Google it. So kind of just went on the domain sites and just was writing different variations of the word wizard, and then Wizza came to be, and I'm like, that kind of sounds like wizard, and the .co was available.
And you recently got the .com.
I recently got the .com.
Would you disclose how much you paid for the .com or no?
It was $50,000.
I feel like that's
what it's worth.
If I could get foreplay.com right now for $50,000, I would 100% buy it.
I think, yeah. Well, foreplay is like an English word, so I think like it's probably like $200,000. I actually just went back to she's the lady that brokered the deal to get Wizza.com is currently selling a site called Violet.com, which I was like, that is just a great domain, because Violet could really just be like anything. It could be a software, it could be a finance company, it could be anything. So I reached out, but they're looking for $1 million plus. So I passed.
Yeah. I mean, they'll get it. Like if you can just find like a VC backed company, it's just.
Yeah. What's funny with domains is like, I feel like people have thought that .coms were going to die for so long, but it's still, if anything, I think today it actually means more.
I think it means like a ton. Like it's also just at the end of the day, most founders are somewhat ego driven. And so everyone wants the .com, and no matter how much you come up with like different domain, how creative it is, even if someone comes up with like a really creative domain name that uses, the suffix as something that's like part of the name and stuff, at the end of the day, all of those founders still just want name.com.
Right.
Like,
always.
100%.
Always. So what'd you get done this week?
I'm coming off of like a really long networking travel spree, which is like completely drained me. I'm also under the weather now because of it. So yeah, the last like 3 weeks, we went to an event in San Diego called SendLane. SendLane's a email marketing software in our industry. We sponsored the event. I had like a panel that I was on there. So did that, met a bunch of cool people. What was really great about it was I was going to these events like a year ago, not the exact same event, but like events in the industry. And I was like going up, introducing myself, this is what we do, whatever. And whereas like this time showing up to the event, either like people were recognizing me and be like, oh, like we use your tool, or like I would introduce myself and people were like, oh, like I use that fucking thing. Like I didn't know that you made it, things like that. And for me, that's always been kind of like the pinnacle of like introducing myself as who I am, and they already know the thing that I built before they know who I am. And so that was like a really rewarding feeling, and got to like meet some of our customers that like actually truly love what we do. And like I had one guy that came up to us, and he owns an agency, and his wife uses our tool because she's like the creative strategist in their agency. And he was just like, dude, I asked my wife, like, what's one tool that like she could not live without? And like Foreplay was the number one. And I was like, okay, that's like super fucking
Was
cool.
she talking about your software, or was
Yeah,
she
yeah,
okay.
that and like him between the sheets.
Okay.
But so that was really cool. And then I went to 2 retreats. So one was this like Founder OS retreat ran by Matt Gray. It was mainly about just like audience building as a founder, things like that. Met some like really cool people. It was a lot of like really good time to just take a step back and like figure out what does like a founder brand really feel like? What do I want my founder brand to be? And I think both of us are kind of going on this journey of like building a founder brand while building a software company, which I think is useful. And so anyway, that was really great. Got to spend some time with Matt, who has been kind of like a mentor to me for the last 2 years. And then I went to a Hampton retreat, which is like Sam Parr's community, which we're both a part of. And that was like a meditation retreat, 3 days. I've never meditated more in my life. It was like, I don't know, combined maybe like 12 to 16 hours of meditation, which was like really hard, like pretty uncomfortable, but it definitely like, one, it was like great reflection time. 2, it was like opened my eyes to being like, okay, like this is maybe something I want to pursue like a little bit further and like become really great at it. Cause there was just like pretty crazy like breakthrough levels of like clarity and like silence of just like your mind, which like I haven't had for a long time. So that was really good. So I haven't got anything like that productive done this week. I've been traveling and meditating.
Yeah.
How about yourself? What'd you get done?
I mean, we're still midweek. I was also traveling. We had a long weekend. So kind of boring stuff like Google Ads has been like a major focus and fixing that all up. But how do you think about like balancing events in terms of time? Like it's tough because sometimes you go to an event and you're like, that was so worth the time. That was great. And sometimes it's like, that was such a waste of time between the travel and like what you pay and the information you learn is kind of like, I find like it's usually just available online. So unless like the people you meet there are kind of unique, then it's
for
kind
me,
of
I think it's people you meet more than information. Like
right.
At the end of the day, we live in like a world where all the information is available to us at all times, but it's also about like creating space to like absorb that information. Like often we'll find ourselves just like working in the weeds of the business and
right.
like getting some altitude on the business is like pretty cool. And if you don't like carve out the time for it, I think it's like hard to like make it happen. But it's also just, it's the same thing with like building product is like you take risks and like
right.
it might not pay back, but like if it does pay back, you know, there's like asymmetric upside to it. I mean, there was like, I had like a few just like very tangible things throughout the 3. I mean, one mistake I did make was when I was like planning out kind of this little stint, I said like yes to everything. And I used the existence of the other events as the reason why I was going to the other. I was like, oh, I'm going to pack these all together into like 3 weeks. And like, that means I can just go to San Diego, then go to LA and then go to New York. And like, I don't have to go back to Toronto and like, but at the end of the day, I think all of that kind of stuff always just like looks really good on your calendar when you're planning it out. Like the red eye always looks good when you're planning it, but it's like you're fucking regretting it when you're at the airport.
Yeah.
And so that's the mistake I made with this one is it really just like drained me, got sick. But generally, I really like the events. And I think, I don't know, over the last year, I've went to a decent amount and I've made just like really good friendships from it. And so like, even if all the business shit goes to like nothing, like I do have like new friends and stuff like that. And so like that's has like some value.
Friends are worth something.
Yeah.
Have you heard of a site called Intro?
Yeah. I think it's like when you can just like book time with people.
Yeah. So I've started looking into it this week and I'm pretty much going through it now. And I'm like, I want to book a time with every software founder I can find on there. It's relatively cheap. I mean, like for what you're getting, if you compare it to like going to an event and paying to meet people. And so it's like $300 to $1,000 for just a meeting for an hour where you can, you know, prepare a list of questions. What I'm starting to do now is like give a business overview, have a set list of questions that I'm going to ask, and just like ask all these people the same questions and like meticulously like write down what they said and try and look for the biggest commonalities. So that's one thing I'm trying to.
What are some of those questions that you're trying to answer?
I think it's a lot around like hiring and next steps. I think right now it's very much an unknown phase for me where there's a lot of big projects that I can focus on, or people we could hire and we can afford to hire right now. It's just like, what are those next right areas to go? Because I think in the early days, it feels very clear of like, these are the next steps I need to do, because there's just so many small wins. And now it feels like, the low hanging fruit is kind of gone.
It's also like not worth your time almost to do those.
Yeah. Sometimes that too. And so like, there's the low hanging fruit's gone. And now it's like the medium hanging fruit that like actually take a couple months of work and takes other people and takes like expertise. And then it's like, those are big investments. So which ones do you actually select? And I might have like an inclining towards what those are, but at the end of the day, I think having someone that's been there before and done it can help a lot.
Yeah, my friend Kenny has like a similar website called Mentor Pass, but it's for like
Okay.
specifically for like the D2C space. I'm actually like on it as well, so if anyone wants to book time with me, I'm on Mentor Pass. But yeah, it's been like I've done a few like on Mentor Pass of people. He doesn't have as much on like the software side of things. It's like very like D2C focused, but I find it's like incredibly valuable. Because also when you like pay someone for their time, I think you just always get like more out of them
100%.
rather than like obviously there's like a time and place for just being like, hey, do you want to meet on Zoom or grab coffee? But at the end of the day, like I'd rather pay someone for them to be like stoked or at least be trying to give value to you while you're like on the call. Because I wouldn't expect and like I would never expect someone to just get on a call for free with me and like put all of their effort into it.
Right.
Because like I would try to do that, but there's always just like a difference. There's a discrepancy between those two.
Yeah, I think there's a reason that like 99% of successful tech companies had an advisory board, and like I think when I was thinking about building mine out, I was trying to like, who should we give equity to? But it's very tough because I don't really know these people. So for me, I think a good first step is like pick some people and just pay them for their time, like even if it's a lot, and then find those people that provide really valuable advice that's relevant to you, and then provide them equity and build an advisory board with like a bit more time behind it. So that's what I'm trying to do now.
Cool. Just dinner dates, just coffee dates on Zoom. That's your day to day.
Pretty much.
All right. It's not a bad place to be. What's the distraction that you're saying no to right now?
Yeah, that's a good way of phrasing it. Okay, so this one's really top of mind. I just started taking minoxidil for hair loss, and
have you stopped taking finasteride as well, or you're taking?
No, I'm taking both.
Okay,
taking both. I never wanted to take minoxidil because I was like, it's kind of a pain to have to like put something in your hair twice a day. So I didn't bother, and then I was like, you know what? Like one of my friends had good results with it, so I was like, you know what? I'll just try it. So anyway, bought it. Was using it this morning, and then I had to put hair gel in. And I was like, why is there no hair gel
that just has minoxidil
with minoxidil in it? I just rubbed this other thing into my hair.
I feel like I've heard that business idea from someone before.
So it was actually me. So yeah, years ago, I had an idea of like a natural hair gel aimed at people who are like dealing with hair loss. And so it was like an organic hair gel made of like all natural ingredients, that these just being like these chemicals could be causing your hair loss. The problem is that like, A, that's actually not true. Like chemicals don't really cause hair loss. And B, your customers are going to churn off as they lose their hair.
That's true. I've wanted to do a hair product as well. Mine was, I used to ride a motorcycle to work every single day, and like finding like a really good, there's like a couple attributes of a good hair product to be used in a helmet. And so you have to like really like go through them to like find like a really, and I ended up finding a product. It's like, they have to be like wax based. They need to be water based because you don't want like build up in your helmet. And if you do have build up in your helmet, you want to just be like washed away with water and things like that. And so I thought like, you look at like the general market of like motorcycle riders, like you could definitely build like a niche. Like one, it's like a cool niche to build in. You could build a lifestyle brand around it that just applies to like people that like resonate with kind of, the lifestyle of riding a motorcycle. But you could have this like very passionate niche of like people that are like, it's like the banker that needs like really clean hair every day. And it's just like you like overly communicate to like their problem. So I always wanted to build that as a product as well.
I feel like the biggest problem with like of all the guys I know, no one uses the same hair gel. Like everyone seems to have a different preference.
I also have like a theory about it that I think your hair adapts to them. And then and then it has like different reactions to it. Like I'll have hair products that I love for 3 months, and then I'll like start to hate them.
I've had the same one since I was like 15.
Dude, I've like
and I won't change.
But I mean, yeah, I've noticed, like, I would love to build up a business if I had all the time in the world. But
Yeah. I mean, I like how you framed starting this business ideas portion, which is like, I think every entrepreneur has the issue when they start a business and it's starting to get successful. That part of their brain that's still thinking of new ideas all the time is still running. So I think it's nice to like separate that as like, these are the kind of like distractions running through my head right now, instead of like, as an entrepreneur getting all like excited about it. And it's like, maybe I could do this on the side, because I've done that mistake. I tried to make an energy drink company. And so like, I think tons of entrepreneurs make that mistake. So yeah, what was yours?
I mean, I've had like some different business ideas recently. We were talking, you were like, hey, what's some ideas for like some like Wisdom merch? And like we came out with merch for Foreplay and like it did pretty well. So we are just like jamming back and forth. I wanted you to make like your like main ICP is salespeople. So I've wanted you to make like a cool Wolf of Wall Street-esque like hookers and blow merch kind of play for Wizza. And so I think you could rebrand smelling salts as like a desk product. Like if you're like having like a really long day, you're about to get on another fucking demo call, you're like, holy shit. Like I think like you have smelling salts, it's like marketed to one specific, like it's like athletes and like powerlifters and things like that. I think as like a novelty product, you could potentially reposition it as like a productivity thing to have on your desk. I actually keep these other like they're like herbal inhalers as well that I keep in my desk. That's sometimes like a nice way to just like reset the day. But if you're looking to like,
bring some energy to
bring some energy rather than like calm down, I think you could like potentially, or even like rebranding smelling salts as like, and like changing the formulation to make it a little bit more mild, where it's just like, okay, this is waking me up acutely without needing to take like any drugs or coffee or anything like that. So I think you should come up with Wizza nose beers.
So on like the Foreplay merch, how has that been for you? Like, kind of something separate, kind of in line with what you're doing, but like,
I mean, it's just like, one, I wanted merch. Like we're like in this very lucky area where our customers really love us and like they fuck with what we do. And I really like vintage advertising just generally. I think there's like a lot to learn from vintage advertising and like the copywriters that came before us and the way they inspired emotion when they had limited resources when it comes down to the medium. And so I was like, okay, let's come up with merch, but I don't want it to be merch. Like I want it to be something like I would wear. Like I would never wear a t-shirt that just said Foreplay on it. Like
right.
I would never wear a t-shirt that said GitHub on it or just like anything like that. And so I was like, okay, let's come out with like some merch that just has like vintage advertising on it. It's also kind of like a trend right now. And so it did really well. Like we sold way more merch than I thought we were ever going to. I wish I could put like more time into it because I actually think like potentially this could be like a little side business. But
right.
At the end of the day, like, I think about my time, like selling t-shirts just like isn't the same return on building software. So,
right. Well, so a lot of your clients are obviously doing like apparel.
Yeah.
How important do you think it is to like eat your own dog food and have a D2C brand?
For me, I don't think so our product, I actually don't think it's as important to be a D2C brand. I think thinking about advertising and thinking about the workflow is important. I think as the team scales, this might become like, oh, this will be my kind of side project. Let's scale this brand. Let's get creators. Let's try to iterate on our content. Let's try to produce advertising content at scale and like operationalize it inside of our own business to sell t-shirts and on the back end of that loop around and like understand how our customers are feeling pain points using our software if they're using it ourselves. But I think it's like I mean, at the end of the day, if I think I go down the road long enough, it ends up being a distraction. But it also is like a lot of fun. And so
right.
Is it a distraction? Yes. Does it create more community around the brand? Yes. Is it now giving us like really cool ways that we can incentivize referrals? Yes. Like right now our referral program is, you get like a percentage of people you refer. For a lot of people, especially, someone's just like working a job where they're not like a major affiliate. Does that, does the $10 a month on recurring to their PayPal make any difference? Is it make it more memorable for them? No. But if I said, hey, refer a customer, I'll send you like this t-shirt that you probably fuck with, like right. That's cool. And then you also get someone that's like fully bought into the brand. Right. Like they wear it, they remember your brand, and there's no like direct ROI to it, but it's like a lot of fun. And
that actually reminds me. So I was listening to a podcast this week about a guy named Herb Keller. He started Southwest Airlines, which is just like such an amazing story. But at one point, so he became like, Southwest was made to be this airline that just went through the 3 major Texas cities, Dallas, Houston, Austin, I guess.
Okay.
So we'll go through these cities, and he undercut the rest of the market because he figured he would try to get leisure travelers. At that time, only business travelers were flying this route. Everyone else would kind of just drive. So he's getting a lot of the market, and then everyone else kind of undercuts him. And he realizes, he's going to go out of business. So what he decides to do is he writes this like beautiful letter, basically like telling the customers straight up, like, hey, here's what's happening. Flight tickets were usually $26. We've been undercut to $11. But if you fly with Southwest, we're going to give you a free bottle of whiskey with every flight at the same like $26 price. And it actually worked. He beat out the competitors. He ended up buying up like a lot of the other competitors in Texas. But it made me think, like, he was saying how most of the travelers weren't paying for it out of pocket anyway. These were the business travelers that were buying this for $26. So I was like, what? Same thing with software. Like, people aren't paying out of pockets for our software. So what is something you could incentivize? Like, for us, like, we want to incentivize people to pay annual. Could you give a sweater to everyone that subscribes annually, or could we do something, give some smelling salts to customers that pay annually? So I think there definitely is something interesting with mixing like the physical products with software, and like nobody is doing it.
I think it's cool. You also like build a brand around software as well. Like, I think at the end of the day, B2B software as a niche, it started off as like the most sterile thing in the entire world, but I think it's come full circle to where you realize, oh, these are also just like humans using your software that have, it's the same humans watching like the hot show on Netflix. It's the same people shopping at. So if you can align yourselves with like what these people like, is it a bit of attraction? Yes, but does it build brand that we can't put like a value on it? Like, I talk to customers all the time where they're like, oh, like we were thinking about going to like one of your cheaper copycats that have come out, but it's like, honestly, having foreplay is a bit of a status symbol. And it's just like, okay, that's kind of cool as well. Just like knowing that like you're the one that people want. And like, if they're choosing someone else, they're choosing it just because they're the budget option. And like, I've never wanted to build anything that's a budget option. And so and so it's almost just like, let everybody else do the budget option shit. You have time and energy and space to then make a brand or like make a company that's like meaningful to people. And at the end of the day, I think when we're talking about undercutting on software, most of the time it's like a nominal amount of money that makes zero difference. And so I think when you're talking about like such a nominal amount of money, you can just do these like really interesting things that have asymmetric returns like long term. But do you have any other business ideas that you've been wanting to rip?
Yeah, so I bought a watch a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to get it insured because I was planning to travel with it, and I just didn't want like the headache of and the worry that comes with that. So I found a company called Jewelers Mutual. They apparently are like the biggest jewelry insurance company, and within like a day they denied my application. And I was thinking, like, of course they did. Like, I'm some random online application. I didn't have to go anywhere. And I just said, hey, this watch is worth this much. Like, yeah. And so I was thinking there should be like a credit score for insurance, unless this already exists. Like, same way if I'm renting a condo from you, you're going to want to see my credit report and see like what kind of person is he. So I think like for insurance, could be the exact same thing. Let me show you. I've actually had car insurance for 6 years and I've never made a claim, and these are my tickets or whatever. So it's the same sort of thing for insurance, to kind of paint a picture of who you are that can take the risk down for insurance and therefore like bring the price down for customers.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean,
unless it exists.
It might exist. I mean, could it also just be like part of a credit score as well? It's just like, if you make a bunch of insurance claims, I don't know, it could affect your credit score. It's like,
I have no idea. Credit's
kind of a
black
weird
box.
It's a black box, and like, who knows who has the keys to it? It's like,
who is Equifax and who is TransUnion? Like, nobody knows.
It's not found on the brand.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's also just like weird too, where it's like, someone could like 100% affect your credit score. And then it's just like, now there's, even if it's like a fraudulent kind of like claim on your credit score, like now you have to go through all the issues of doing this. And I feel like most of the time you're just like, okay, whatever, fuck it. Like
Guilty until proven innocent.
yeah, it's kind of like shitty in that way as well. And it's also just like, I would never understood too, there's all these like different services where you can check your credit score and they are pulling from Equifax, but they have different numbers. And it's just like where they like, it literally makes no sense. It should be an API call that just has a number, and it, you know, a hit on your credit score should be able, you know, you should fully be able to just be like, read down 3 points because you missed payment on this, or like this credit card has, it is a formula. So like, I don't understand why that formula just isn't like disseminated to the customer.
Yeah, it's so weird. And these like these Credit Karma companies and all these like they're running ads at like the Super Bowl, and
I mean, those are just fronts to sell credit cards.
They're affiliates.
They're affiliates to sell credit cards,
which is crazy that you can make that much money as an affiliate. And I think it's specifically like financial, like NerdWallet.
I mean, at the end of the day, when any business gets big enough, they become a bank or a credit card, and that's become like more and more like true now.
They become a bank or a credit card?
Like if you look at like Starbucks is pretty much just a bank. Have you not like seen?
I've seen those. I
mean, and then you look at like Shopify, they launch a credit card. You look like at the end of the day, like, and they're all just like backed by some of these like banks, and they put their own wrapper, they do their own rewards, they run their own like arbitrage on, you know, credit card fees versus what they can offer for the customer. And like there's all these like companies too now where you can just like build a credit card for your customers with like your own terms, that it's just like backed up by these like large banks and things like that. There's like white label credit cards. So, and at the end of the day, it's like the best business model in the whole fucking world. It's like
just a percent of
people give you all your money, you hold it fractionally. It's like you get a percentage of everything. You take a vig on like all their foreign transactions. Like we recently changed our bank, and like we're saving like thousands of dollars a month now just in like foreign transactions. And it's just like, okay, so like RBC were removed from. It's like RBC was making like $6,000 a month from us on foreign transaction fees. Like I didn't know that. Like what the fuck? That's insane.
Yeah, then you're sweating like some $50 a month like software cost
somewhere
else.
Yeah, it's like there should also just be like a high level. I mean, I think this exists. Like I think a lot of like the more modern banks like Brex and things like that are just like giving you the best option with like the most rewards and like the best interest rates to like take a market share from some of these like old banks. But I mean, yeah, I think as your business gets big enough, you just become a bank. Look at Apple. Apple releases a credit card. They release financing. If you look at like all car companies, they make money on the financing and not the cars. Like Porsche doesn't make any money on the sale of a car. They only make money on financing. They make money on financing, and they make money on licensing for Porsche design. All of their profit, 100% of their profit comes from financing and Porsche design. They make no money on the sale of a car. It's actually insane. Like,
then why allow cash purchases?
I don't know.
That's what I would do. Make me CEO of Porsche.
Yeah, no more cash purchases.
I think a lot of times those like things come out about like companies made X amount from here, but like that might be where they're kind of showing their profit, but like there still obviously is gross profit on a cash car sold. It's just floating like somewhere else, something else.
I remember seeing something that like Porsche designs as like a company or like a revenue stream was like the main contributor to their profit as a company.
That's who's wearing Porsche design.
That's what I want to know. I remember for a while, like they were doing like hard drives, and I thought they were the coolest hard drives ever, like Porsche design hard drives. And
they do
like
make a cool speaker. It's like exhaust pipes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I remember the one Porsche design product I want during COVID. I was like, I would smoke shisha all the time with my old business partner. It was like what we would do at the end of the day when we couldn't do anything. And I remember I was like, what's the fucking coolest shisha fucking thing ever? And there's a Porsche designs shisha thing with like the hoses are beautifully leather wrapped and like stitched as it was the car. And it was like, it's actually the most beautiful.
Alcantara.
It's legitimately the most like beautiful shisha. I don't smoke shisha anymore, so I won't. But they're even just as like a art piece. They're actually like really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Audi do watches and shit like that too.
Audi makes a foosball table that I've always wanted.
Oh, that's cool.
A glass foosball table.
I've always wanted. James Purse has a ping pong table that's really, really nice, but it's like $10,000, and they also have a $6,000 teak chessboard, which is just like insane.
Teak? What is teak?
Like wood. Like it's a wood chessboard. It's not even like it's ivory or anything like that. But it's like beautifully designed. You're like, yeah, this is really cool.
It's not even ivory.
I think that's like one of the brands where I'm just like, man, this guy like did it right. James Purse. Like he built this like clothing line. Now he has like this like line of boutique hotels.
I didn't know any of that.
Oh, it's
I
like,
just knew the clothes.
oh, dude, it's so cool. They sell like $7,000 surfboards, which probably mainly just get hung on people's fucking walls and never surfed ever. But it's really cool. Like I like people that take these industries, which are like generally like targeted towards like people that don't have money, and just like you kind of offer the lifestyle. It's like, oh, like
Right.
you have money, you want to be like a surf guy from like an idealistic point of view. It's like, hey, just like wear a James Purse, and it's
Right.
kind of cool. And they come out with all these like they have like bedding products, they have pillows. But the cool thing is like their home stuff. They have these like this really sick pool table, ping pong tables, and the chessboard is really cool as well.
Here's a question. If you could own any one company, take money aside from it, like
Okay.
not just like Apple just because it's the
Yeah,
biggest,
yeah,
but
yeah.
like just like a brand you've always admired, like a company you would want to run, what would it be?
I think Airbnb would be really, really fucking cool. Like actually,
Interesting.
just because I don't know, I'm an avid user of Airbnb, and like I can directly see the ways I would make product changes.
What would you do?
I mean, honestly, I think offering like they've done this a little bit with like Airbnb Plus, but like making it a little bit. And there's a company called Wander that's kind of doing what I would offer as like a product line inside of Airbnb, which is whenever I travel for using Airbnb, it's a place where I'm going, and I also want to work. And I'm a bit of like a desk princess, where I like to have a desk, I like to have a nice chair, I like to have a monitor, and so just like really good filtering of just like vetted properties where it's like I can go here and work. Like, Airbnb has this thing. It's like dedicated office space, but it's like usually just like a table with a chair. And so I think having like a Airbnb for work thing, just because it's like directly personal to me, and I would like pay a premium for it. But yeah, this company Wander's kind of doing that as well. I think also if it was like you were to take money completely out of it, I would really love to have like a company like James Purse where you have, or like Buster and Punch, where it's like a design focused brand. They have these like weird, obscure physical products that are sold at an aggressive premium. And like most of your time is just about thinking about distribution, design, and manufacturing. I would just like, it'd be really cool to be in a place where you could just wake up in a day and be like, I want to build the chessboard I want. And like we have the market to justify a price in which it makes it worth my time. So at the end of the day, it's like right now you're like, hey, design a chessboard. Like, yeah, that'd be cool, but it's like not worth my time. But if you knew you had distribution in a market to sell a $7,000 chessboard, you could like put all of your effort into doing
Best
that.
chessboard.
Just build the best chessboard that you want. And I don't know if that like moves like the world forward, but like it makes it a more beautiful place, or it makes it like a place that you want to live in. And so like I think that'd be like endlessly fulfilling. Or even just like art or like shit like that. If you take money out of it. How are you? What's your business?
Honestly, as you were talking, I was trying to think of one. I'm like, this is such a cop out to say Apple, but it's not. It's not size, and it's not even brand really. Like, I just think I get really excited about like innovation, which sounds so lame, but like innovation and technology that like specifically like consumer technology, that I think that would be the most fun thing you could possibly work on. Obviously, they have like thousands of people available that you could like come up with ideas and make products that are really amazing. And I also feel like they've kind of like slacked the last couple of years.
I mean, like recently with their like most recent release, I had just gotten the Apple Watch Ultra, and they like released a new one. I was like, fuck. But then they were doing this like video where they're like essentially retroing the amount of lives that the Apple Watch has saved because the Ultra, because the SOS features. Like, and it was actually right at the time where I've been trying to buy this one watch called the Breitling Emergency for like the last 2 months. I'm just like trying to find like the perfect version of it. And I really want to get a birthier version of it because they made it in 1996. Anyway, the Breitling Emergency has like an actual SOS transmitter in it where you unscrew a crown, pull it, and then it broadcasts an SOS signal on like a radio frequency, and then legitimately helicopters show up, and there's like a massive fine if you like trigger it. Anyway, so it was like, but it was like, it'd be really, imagine if you built like the SOS feature inside of the Apple Watch, being like, this guy's living because of this, or like,
right.
I know they have like the EKG, which can like, kind of like highlight if you're about to have like a heart thing or stuff like that. So like, saving people, like if you saving people's lives is like that'd be like a really cool feeling. Like even from like an egotistical point of view, like I saved some fucking lives. That'd be fucking cool.
Save 4 lives today.
Yeah, yeah, do like a ticker. So anything like with that would be really cool as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hospital. That would be an easy one.
Build a hospital.
Yeah, like a hospital company. I don't know. Mayo Clinic, isn't that a?
I saw
We're in Canada.
I saw a TikTok today that like massive opportunity for old age homes, because apparently baby boomers are aging at a rate in which they need old age homes, and like the number of beds aren't. You can draw a correlation where it's going to become like not enough beds for our parents to live in once they need to go to old age homes.
You could probably make a really sick old age home.
Oh, 100%. But I think the money is where you make like the not great old age homes and like turn over. And my uncle, sorry, it's like a second uncle twice removed. He like made a bunch of money buying old age homes, changing like the pricing and like renovating them, whatever, over like a 5-year period, and then flipping them. He did that for like 15 years.
They always remind me of Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all I think of when I think of old age home.
I don't know if I'd want to be in. Being an old age home is either the worst thing ever, but it also could feel like, okay, I'm in residence again at university, and this is like amazing. I'm just with a bunch of my peers, like fucking, I'm a widow, you know, like.
No, but like what like
what would be the perfect old age home?
Yeah, like I feel like it's a pretty fun like thought exercise, but like I mean, it's not gonna be like roller coasters and like dirt bikes, but like there's probably some stuff that's.
I mean, I feel like the issue with old age homes is like you have a significant part of the population that has like dementia, and like that's what you're fighting. So you have to cure dementia to make the perfect old age home, because I feel like you just have all these like people at different like levels, you know, of like what they can do and what they can't do.
Yeah.
So it's like if you do like a Zumba class or something.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
yeah. There's
it'd be very hard. There's so much variance in like the capabilities.
Yeah, no, you'd have to find like you could do like a movie night and
maybe
build like a movie
just
theater.
Apple VR.
Yeah.
And they all just live off their last years watching shit in Apple VR.
No, picture like, okay, it has its own movie theater that like feels very like almost like a cruise ship.
Maybe that's the new. Maybe cruise ships are the new old age homes.
Yeah.
Imagine you build like a. Imagine you buy like a lifetime. Imagine you could buy a lifetime cruise ship like membership, and you just buy it with what. And then even if someone didn't have the cash up front, like what if you also just like put your life insurance policy in trust to the cruise ship company? And it's just like whenever you die, like you're gonna ride this cruise ship to the day you die, and the moment you die, they get a payout of like $1 million for whatever your like life insurance policy is. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of people like, whatever, like I just want to live my best life for the next.
See more places,
live my best life. They take care of your afterlife. I actually met a guy at the Hampton retreat. He was building he's building like a platform for cremation, just like making it easier to like do afterlife for like families when like someone dies in your family. So it'd be kind of cool if you could like also be like, here's my aging parents. We know they're going to live on average to this many years, and then just like almost like curate like an end of life experience. It'd be kind of cool. And then you also like take care of, even if they die in like Bosnia on a cruise, they get like shipped back, everything's taken care of. Like,
but then you got some dead bodies to deal with.
You got some dead bodies.
While.
You guys,
you need.
Dude, I was
on
a cruise and someone died on the cruise.
Really?
Yeah, the guy had a heart attack in the water, and they put him on the boat.
On the water?
In the water.
Oh,
like swimming, had a heart attack, died. And then I was like in grade 10, and I was just like thinking like, man, yeah. But yeah, all cruise ships have like a, what are they called?
Morgue?
A morgue, yeah. All cruise ships have a morgue. They thought about that.
Yeah, I've never thought.
I wonder how many people on average die on a cruise ship. It's probably like half, like 0.5 people die on a cruise ship on every cruise. Betcha. It's all old people.
I've been on 2 cruises. No one died.
I didn't tell you. I don't even make an announcement.
How'd you know about it? You saw it?
Fuck, I can't remember. It might have been a rumor.
Sounds fake. Well, I think we've come full circle.
I think we've come full circle all the way down, all the way to death and the birth of businesses. But I think that was a good episode. To close it out, where if people want to, whatever, follow along on your entrepreneurial journey, where can they?
Stephen Hakami on LinkedIn. Stephen with a PH.
Cool.
Same on Twitter. You?
Foreplay Zach on Twitter, and subscribe to this YouTube channel if that's where you're watching it. And I'm on LinkedIn as well. I'm gonna try to start posting there. But this has been good.
Awesome. Thanks.
Done this week.
Done.
I think that was better than our